What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. So we're going to do a stimulus package update today. Now, Congress has gone on recess. They will return after Thanksgiving. However, we did receive some good news yesterday, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm also going to go over this open letter that the Aspen Institute wrote to Congress, basically saying, look, we need relief now. So we're going to talk about that. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please hit the like button. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. Okay, so let's talk about Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer. So Chuck Schumer, he hinted that he and Mitch McConnell, or at least their staff, will start dialogue, start talking to each other when it comes to another stimulus package. So that's good news. I mean, we're looking at a situation now where Chuck Schumer, who is the minority leader, and Mitch McConnell, who is currently the majority leader, they're going to, at least their staff is going to start talking about how to move forward with another stimulus package. And like I said, this is good. This is good news. At least they're open to having dialogue and starting to talk. Now, we are looking at a government shutdown December 11th if things don't get resolved when it comes to the budget. And so that's another talk that needs to happen. And so maybe Chuck Schumer's kind of talking about this and saying, yeah, we're going to start talking about another stimulus package, but realistically, they're going to be talking about a stimulus package and the budget talks, because the budget talks need to happen. They have to talk about this, or we're going to have a government shutdown. And that'll be the worst time for us to shut down the government, right when we're on the cusp of seeing a vaccine. How are we going to distribute it if the government shut down? So this is something that can't happen. And so maybe Chuck Schumer was kind of tying the two in, saying, yeah, we're going to start talking about the stimulus package and budget talks. So we'll have to see where it goes when it comes down to it. But Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, if they can start talking, I think that would be good. Maybe at this point, just have them talk. Have their staff talk, staff level talks. That's fine. Have them talk. Don't bring in Nancy Pelosi at this point. Just let her run the House. Let the Senate, because right now we're looking at the Senate as being the major roadblock. And I know people are saying, no, Nancy Pelosi is the major roadblock. No, it's actually the Senate, because the Senate is unwilling to pass something. They're unwilling to get something passed. If we could get something passed through the Senate and sent to the House, well, now we'll have a whole different situation, because then Nancy Pelosi will have to say no to some people in her chamber if something is before the House. But we have not seen that yet, because we haven't been able to get anything passed through the Senate. So maybe this is a good thing. You have Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, have their staff talk about things, and then maybe come to some type of resolution, pass something, and then send it over to the House, and then maybe we can see something go that route. So we will have to wait. I'm hoping that we can get this done. I think we're all hoping that we can get this done before the end of the year. I'm still not there. I'm still not there. I think we're going to have to wait until next year, but there's still some hope out there. So we have December. So we have a short time frame in December. Obviously, we have the holidays that are coming up in December. So, of course, Congress is not going to be working during the holidays. So if we can get something done early December, maybe that'll work out. Maybe right around December 11th, because we know December 11th, they're going to have some type of resolution when it comes to the budget. So maybe we can have that all together, and we'll have to see where that goes. All right, now I'm going to open up here this letter. So this is the open letter. So here's the Aspen Institute and Economic Strategy Group. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and read this letter, this open letter to Congress. Amidst a resurgence in COVID-19 caseloads and continuing economic devastation from the pandemic, we urge Congress to enact legislation that focuses on the core measures necessary to provide additional fiscal relief as quickly as possible and no later than the end of this calendar year. So they're saying, look, this needs to be done before the end of the year. And I think all of us would agree it should have been done months ago, but that's the deadline that this letter is setting. And so I think it's really important for us to focus on, and this is good that you have economists, CEOs getting together saying, look, we need relief. The people need relief. I think it's a good thing, because if Congress isn't going to listen to us, the people, maybe they'll start listening to some of these economists. Maybe they'll start listening to some of these CEOs. CEOs they've been talking about this for a while, but it's always nice to have more. I want to see more letters like this out, and maybe that will help push the needle in the right direction. Okay, a bipartisan relief package should include, first and foremost, additional funding to fight the virus. So this is good. Fight the virus. You hear Nancy Pelosi always talking about crush the virus, crush the virus. And we need money for that. That's not free. We have a vaccine that's on the horizon right now. We need money to distribute that vaccine. Who's going to pay for the vaccine? Do we have to pay for it ourselves? Is the government going to pay for it? That's something else that we need to talk about. So all these things, I like how this letter puts us out at the forefront. Fight the virus. That's what we really need to focus on. We also endorse assistance to individuals and families, including extended federal government income relief to unemployed individuals, enhanced benefits to households who need help buying food, and measures to help people who are facing potential evictions and homelessness because of the pandemic-related income loss. So this is good. A lot of stuff in there, right? Enhanced unemployment is one of the things that they're talking about here. Eviction moratorium, that's something else. A lot of these things have already expired. The CARES Act had these things in them. They've already expired. So now we're looking at a situation where more assistance is needed. Okay, let's go ahead and move on here. And every time I touch the screen, it's like highlighting this, so I apologize for that. But let's see. Legislation should include fiscal support to state and local governments which face budget shortfalls as a result of the pandemic while they face emergency spending needs, including much needed funding for K-12 schools to open safely. Big thing here, state and local funding. This is something that's really important, and you do have politicians that don't see this as being important. And it just blows my mind because these are a lot of jobs that can be lost if we have state and local funding not provided. Because the first thing that these state and local governments are going to do is they're going to start laying people off. State and local governments have to balance their budgets every year. The federal government can run a deficit, which means they do not have to balance their budget every year. They don't have to do it. They can set, like we were talking about budget talks. Yeah, they can set a budget. If they don't get that budget set, then we'll have a government shutdown until they come to some type of an agreement. But you see, we run a deficit. You see that. We're in a deficit right now. State and local governments, they can't run a deficit. So when their fiscal year ends, if they don't have the money to pay their employees, then guess what? They have to lay those employees off or furlough those employees. So that's a situation that we're in. And it's very, very important because if you start laying people off at the state and local level, those people are going to go on unemployment and it's going to cost even more money in the long run. So it's very, very important that we focus on that. Congress should also prioritize support to small businesses as they continue to operate under reduced capacity restrictions, weakened consumer demand, and a high level of uncertainty. So especially small businesses right now, they're struggling. Some restaurants in California is a good example, 25% capacity. So they can only have 25% of the people that they normally have in their restaurant at any given time. And for some small restaurants, that can mean one family. And so it's crazy to think that we have government right now that's just not acting. They're not doing anything. And you have these small businesses that they're ready to close their doors. And some of them have already done that because of all this. So it's just amazing to me. And then, I mean, the uncertainty part too is something that we need to talk about. Like you have all these small businesses, they don't know what's going on in the future. They don't know what the requirements are going to be. You're seeing a lot. I see this in Southern California all the time, especially restaurants where they will have this outdoor seating. They didn't have it before, but they will convert their parking lot into an outdoor seating area so people can sit down, go to the restaurant and sit down there because you have to eat outdoors in Southern California. You can eat indoors, but it has to be only at 25%. So if you're outdoors, then you can have regular capacity. And so that's what they're doing. They're converting their parking lots into these outdoor dining areas because they didn't have outdoor dining before. So all that uncertainty, they don't know what to do next. And should we build something long term or should we build something short term when it comes down to it? Should we reconstruct our whole building, our whole restaurant? So all this uncertainty is not good for small business. and any business, but for small business especially, because they don't have the same reserves. They don't have all this money in reserve that some of these larger corporations have, where they can kind of, they can get by. They don't have to lay off a bunch of people right away. They can kind of get by for a little bit of time. But if you're a small business, you don't have all those reserves, and so any little change in the economy, and they're gonna have to close up shop. All right, let's go ahead and continue here. The CARES Act that was passed with bipartisan support in March 2020 provided necessary relief to millions of Americans and helped the economy rebound more quickly than expected. This is something that should be talked about every time we have a talk about the stimulus package. The CARES Act was successful. We need something else. We have similar conditions right now than we had back in March. So we need to have some of the same response. So we had the CARES Act back then, and it did help. It was positive. It was a good thing. And so that's what we need to focus on. And I think every time you have a politician say, oh, we don't need another stimulus package, or they're reluctant to go forward with another stimulus package, remind them, you supported the CARES Act. It helped. We need more help. So that's good. Many of the Act's key provisions have already expired, but are still needed. So this is really important. A lot of the stuff that was in the CARES Act, it's expired. We're looking at the unemployment. That's going to expire the day after Christmas. And so we have things that are not going to be here by the end of the year. The forbearance for student loans, it won't be here at the end of the year. So these are things that need to be raised over and over again when it comes to these politicians. They need to be reminded, look, this is the situation that we're in right now. Meanwhile, the pandemic resurges throughout the country. Our nation's leaders should act on another round of fiscal relief now. At the same time, the administration should act aggressively to deploy the unspent resources it already has to combat the virus and support businesses. Our country and economy cannot wait until 2021. And then they go down, and here are the co-signers to this letter here. So you see a lot of people from colleges, CEOs, economists. So I just wanted to show you that letter here. I'm hoping that we see more and more letters like this come out from economists and come out from CEOs saying, look, this needs to happen. We've heard some CEOs say things. Yes, we need to have more stimulus. Letters like this are good because there's a paper trail. We sent out these letters. You guys didn't react to them. This is what happened. This is how our economy went. So I'm hoping that we see more stuff like this, but they raised all the key points, all the key things that we need to focus on. We need to fight the virus. We need funding. People need to stimulate the economy. They need money. They need to pay their rent. They need to pay their mortgage. They need to pay for food. A lot of people are still unemployed. We're talking 12 million people are going to lose unemployment the day after Christmas. That's how crazy it is. That's how crazy we are right now when it comes to the government not helping out the American people. So let me know what you guys think down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. Hit that little bell notification, that way you'll get notified. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.